Hello everyone. Welcome to this. Hello everyone. Welcome to this today's edition of webinar. And today we have decided a very pertinent topic, which is a matter of concern for everybody in this country, and that is about migrant labor. So we will try to find out the whole status of these migrant workers or the migrant laborers, because in this whole era of this COVID-19, for the last 2 months, the country is suffering because of the spread of this coronavirus, this pandemic. The whole country has been in lockdown, and we have entered the fourth phase of lockdown, and still the number of the infected patients is increasing. The government is making its best efforts. The doctors and the paramedical staff, they are also making their best efforts to contain this. But at the same time, along with this spread of the coronavirus, another thing which is happening is the whole issue of the migrant laborers. It started in the first phase of the lockdown only, and during the first 2 days and 3 days, there was large scale movements of the laborers working in one state, and then they were trying to move to their native state, their native village. But for about 2 months, there was almost a standstill. In between, there were some reports coming about this whole issue of the migrant laborers. But then, since this fourth phase entered roughly around 15, 16, 17th of May, this problem has again increased to an alarming proportion, and a lot of movement is happening, though the government has arranged a lot of buses, certain trains, or these Shramik trains, they have also been started by the government, but still the migrant laborers are moving on the road, traveling long distances with their whole baggage, with their children and all, and they are traveling thousands and thousands of kilometers. And despite everything possible which the government is trying to do, which the non-governmental organizations are trying to do, this is a problem which is not coming under control. So that is how we decided to discuss this whole issue of the migrant laborers, and particularly looking into the issue of the human rights. So we are, going by the topic, this is the human rights of migrant workers. And then if we are talking about the human rights, then obviously we have to look for somebody who is an expert in that area, and who can actually throw light from the first-hand account, from the first-hand understanding. So to throw light on this kind of complex issue, on this topic, we requested Mrs. Jyotika Kalra to join with us, and she has kindly agreed. Thank you so much, Jyotika ji.
Thank you, Brish.
So if I can tell you something more about Jyotika Kalra ji, I think many people who are in the field of law or media, they should be familiar with her name. She has been a practicing lawyer for so long. She has been practicing in High Court and the Supreme Court, and going by the contribution that she made all these years, then she was nominated as a member of the National Human Rights Commission of India. So she has been there also for almost 1.5 years.
More than 3 years.
More than 3 years. And then she has been really working hard in this particular area of human rights. So when I talked to her, she readily agreed to talk on this issue. So to begin with, Jyotika ji, firstly, because everybody understands that this problem of migrant labor exists at this moment, and this might be an eye-opening to a lot of people who never understood this, who never thought of this, that this problem of migrant labor is so complex in this country. But now it's happening before our eyes. All channels, all newspapers are covering this all the time. All kind of not so pleasant pictures are coming across, rather I should say I mean, very bad pictures, very moving pictures are before our eyes, and sometimes it becomes too depressing. So, to begin with, I will request Jyotika ji to say something as to who are actually the migrant laborers. If we can try to actually define the migrant laborers, how can we do it? Jyotika ji.
Ambrishi, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity, and I thank each one of you who is participating and who is listening to me in this webinar. This is a very touching topic, I should say, and when Mr. Ambrish Saxena talked to me about this topic, and as if I was waiting to talk and to share my views on this topic, this had been so touching throughout. There are deaths due to COVID, but there are deaths, number of deaths due to migrant laborers also. I mean, and those videos and those films which we come across are so disturbing that it you can't stop you from crying. So that is to begin with. And I was telling Mr. Amrish Saxena also, I mean, all those news which have come, and this issue of migrant laborers has taken up a memento. It's all because of reporting. It's not that conventional journalism which is working now as of now, but a small person making a video, sharing on YouTube or sharing on their Twitter and all that thing. The news is spreading in that manner, and it's reaching out to people. And for example, day before yesterday, I was seeing the news on NDTV about Ramlila Maidan in Uttar Pradesh, this border district. Uh, and it was showing that for registration of migration, there were thousands of people over there and no distancing and nothing was being in Ghaziabad, Ramlala Maidan of Ghaziabad. And yesterday I went to that spot to see and to have a first-hand experience of that spot. When I reached in the morning, it was around 11 o'clock. The notice board was there that no registration is there. I mean, the registration was stopped mainly because of the news items or the videos which were shared, that the government thought that because if nothing is opaque, everything is coming to the notice of the people who really want to see it. Similarly, the all that sensitivity, all that concerns about migrant laborers have risen because of the sensitive people who had been on roads and who had been covering these stories and sharing on the social medias. And as far as, and again, this is not a particular case of migrant labor or workers. I had also been on roads. As I said, I have been to the border of Delhi, the Sabzi Mandi, where the border of Delhi. I have been to Yamuna Expressway. I have been to different roads in Delhi to have a first-hand experience of the migrant laborers. I talked to them. I shared their experiences. I asked the reason why are they migrating and what are the circumstances under which they have been compelled to migrate. So it is not only the migrant workers which we conventionally have as if they are working in the factories or they are the construction workers. No, it is not like that. It also includes students. It also includes even the employers. It includes not only the workers but the employers also. I mean those who were providing the services, because again I have come across, after looking at the different videos and news and my own observation by talking to people on the roads, migrants who are moving at different situation. Gazipur Mandi, I was saying, when I was saying Delhi border. So there are four reasons primarily which I could get. Number one reason is the health reason. Initially when people were migrating, they had an idea in mind that UP, Bihar, there was no case, and the cases were in Delhi, Mumbai, initially in Kerala and Mumbai. So they thought of it that we will be very much safe. So the first lot of migrants who migrated even before announcement of lockdown were students, were some workers, and even the persons working in Delhi. I'm saying it's not migrant workers, but those who were middle level workers and working in different organizations. They migrated with the thought that let us go to UP or Bihar, it is very safe, and daily if something happens to us, who will take care of us? So a chunk migrated even before announcement of the lockdown. And then immediately when the lockdown was announced, it was people, those who were working, this labor class now, they thought of it that it is not possible for us to stay back over here. My works have stopped. There is a total lockdown, and from where will I earn? Because for them, earning every day is important for getting their meals for that day. And next day they need to earn for getting the meals for the next day. So they were left with no option but to think of it that because there is no work, and here I am burdened to pay the rent of my house, I am burdened uh, uh, to meet other expenses like electricity and all those things. So let me go back to my house, and there I'll be relieved of these expenses which I am necessarily bearing because I'm staying back at Delhi. If I'll go back to my house, those expenses will not be borne. So this first that lot after lockdown was that when we know the news, when people assembled at Anand Vihar bus station and other places, lots and lots of people were there. The state also, and at that time in Delhi, there were only 72 cases. It was around 28th March or something. Only 72 cases, and there was a lot of migration who wanted to go back to their homes. Some people were taken back, but with intervention of Supreme Court and everything, the people were stopped. Again, the Supreme Court also interfered, and Supreme Court assured that these migrants who are staying back should be given stay facility and they should also be given food. And we have also seen different NGOs, governments, and lakhs of people, and as per the record of lakhs of government records, lakhs of people have been given food. But the point which I want to put forward before this gathering is, it is not the food which can retain a person to stay back at at the place where he's working. So this is the message. If we have this message that migrants are here to, if I'll give food to the migrants, it will ensure that they will not move. So I was wrong. The state was wrong.
Yeah.
People were wrong that if food be given, they will stay back. No, I mean, people, everybody has his own dignity, respect. So they don't want to stand in the lines and take the food. They want to work, earn, and then get their food. So that, the food availability of food didn't stop them from moving. They thought that it is not dignified for me to stand up in a queue and take a meal, and then again in the afternoon, again at the night. So they thought, let me go back. I'll go back to my with my people. I'll have my own food. There it is cheaper. The agriculture was open also, throughout, being an essential commodity. In villages, the agricultural activities were open throughout. So that was also one of the reason. And another reason, and gradually, as you said, the maximum deaths have occurred in the last third phase of lockdown, because in 1st of May, when people kept on walking, that's also a truth. It never stopped. And I had been talking to different people, even when those who started walking on, say, about 24th March, 25th March, they reached their destination by 31st March or something. So everybody is connected with mobile phones, and people, those who were sitting at Delhi or at other places, they had that idea, if I'll start walking, I'll reach my destination. So they also started walking, even if I don't have money, even if there is no commuting, there is no facility for commuting. So let me walk, because my friend, my uncle, my other has reached home. And they even had the information, because I had been talking to people. They even had the information, latest information, as to what are the days of quarantine they are required to undergo, whether it is 21 days, whether it is in schools, what is the condition in the schools, what kind of a food is being served in schools. And lastly, when I talked to a person, he said, ma'am, in UP, there is no quarantine as required. Now they are, they ghar mein ghusa dete. His word was, ghar mein ghusa dete. He meant that there is a home quarantine now, which is there in UP. So because of the information, they were in touch with their friends, with their relatives, and the relatives also started expressing their fears and their scare, their dar, that please come back, we want you to see here with us. And one more thing which might not have been discussed, because I was on roads. The commission was opened on 20th of April. And I also had an occasion, as I said, I went to the Yamuna Expressway.
Nothing will be confusing.
Roads were total curfew-like situation, and Seema Suraksha Bal Jawan standing on the roads. It was like a scary situation. Also, people were scared that it's like it's scary to stay back in this city. Let me go back to my villages. So these are some of the reasons which I thought that I should share with you. And migration, again, as I'm saying that about the laws with regard to,
Sure.
hello.
Hello.
Yes, about the laws, as you said, what is migrant worker? There are different legislation, and the most important
Unmute,
amongst
mute.
them is the
Mute होनी चाहिए ना
Interstate
mute.
Migrant Workmen Regulation of Employment and Conditions of Services Act 1979. So apart from this Interstate Migrant Workmen Regulation, Employment and Conditions of Services Act, all other laws which concern the workmen, which includes minimum wages, contract labor, bonded labor, workman compensation, Factories Act, state insurance legislatures, Industrial Disputes Act, all these protections or the protections under the labor laws are available to all the workers, including the migrant workers. Migrant workers have an additional advantage of Interstate Migrant Workmen Act. Now, I'm not going by the other act, but I am touching only upon this Interstate Migrant Workmen Regulation of Employment Conditions of Service Act. This law also requires that migrant worker has to be through a agent or through a contractor, and this contractor should be registered, and the establishment which are employing the contract labor through migrant labor through this contractor should also be registered. The point is, and it also provides for many protections to the migrant workers. The point is, if there is no registration, you are not committing any any fault in not registering the, and who is there to overview and to supervise whether the contractor is registered or not, whether the employer is registered or not. There has to be a very strong mechanism. Laws itself do not resolve the situation, never ever can they. There has to be a team of committed workers who really committed government officials who really are keen to ensure that the laws get implemented. So law is there, but and most important law as far as migrant workers are concerned is this, because they, most of them are under the building and other construction works. Most of the migrants are in that. So that is the Building and Other Construction Workers Regulation of Employment and Conditions of Services Act 1996. In this also, I had been dealing with this law as a member National Human Rights Commission also. There is a board which ensures that the building and construction workers should be registered. But as far as I know, my own personal experience, and at any time when you get your site plan approved for a new construction, you need to deposit 1% of the price with the this board of building and construction workers. And as the minister had shared, there is 52,000 crore lying in this building and construction workers welfare board. And as I said, compulsorily, whenever a site plan is approved, X amount is deposited in this board. Why this is lying as it is? Because the number of construction workers who are registered as of now, it is 3.5 crore, which is the number. But more than that, I think, are the number which is not registered. And why they are not registered? One of the basic reason is that they do not have the bank accounts. The requirement of registration, apart from Aadhaar and photograph, is the bank account, which is the real issue. And because of not having a bank account, these people have not been able to get themselves registered. And the money lying in this board keeps that that keeps is being left unutilized because of this fact, as I shared. And now the minister, Mr. Santosh Kumar Gangwar, has written a letter to all the chief ministers of the states that you utilize this 52,000 crore lying vacant in the Building and Other Construction Welfare Board, and had also requested that please also register those workers who have yet not been registered under this board. So apart from that, I think then it's also hello.
Jyotikadi, if I can interrupt you, because a number of questions we have been receiving,
Yeah.
and many listeners have endorsed the points which you have been raising, particularly if I can mention about a senior professor from Mumbai, Dr. Meera Desai. She actually liked the point that you talked about the dignity of a person. But
Yeah.
then there are 3 or 4 questions which have been coming, which have been propping here, which is about the number of the migrant laborers and the, I mean, total number of migrant laborers in the country, if there is a clear-cut statistics
Yeah,
about this.
I'm prepared for that question. As far
Yeah,
as the Solicitor General, when the matter came up before the Honorable Supreme Court on 31st of March, that Solicitor General said that as per the last census, so last census was of 2011, migrant
yeah,
worker is 4 crore. This was the submission by the Solicitor General. But as I shared the data, which is again a very recent data by the Minister of the this migrant workers, he said that 3.5 crore labor and
yeah.
employment minister, 3.5 crore workers are registered. So in any which case, this may not, 3.5 crore may itself not be a conclusive number of workers registered under the building and construction thing. So 4 crore 10 years back. So by any stretch of imagination, it could have increased. I can't give number on the guesswork, but
Yeah,
it is 3.5
yeah,
crore
if I
registered.
can,
Yeah, please continue.
yeah, yeah. If I can ask here, because one of the participant, he has raised a point referring to a news report that till 17th of May, only 1 lakh migrant workers have reached their native places. So if we take this figure 3.5 crore out of
No,
this
this,
such a huge number,
no, no, but
only
this is
1
not
lakh people.
no, no, that's a wrong information, because even railway has come
Okay,
up with its report. That number I have, even railway has reported that I can just yeah. Railway has said that since 1st of May, Shramik special trains have started, and as per railway, 18.5 lakh people have already been ferried. So it is not 1 lakh is
okay,
not correct. 18.5 lakh
okay,
have been ferried by railway itself. And walking on the road and walking of their own is a big number. So that is it is very minuscule. As I said, that 3.5 crore registered as building construction, it is not only the workers, it includes the students. I've seen them with my own eyes. It includes all other category of people. And Amrish ji, I would like to emphasize on migration.
yeah,
Migration is not something which is demeaning or which is of a lesser value. Migration is an economic, movement. The people where, I mean, the developing the economies which need people, why migration, the better employment opportunities and higher wages in economically developed regions attract labor, while non-availability of employment opportunities and consequent economic hardships in underdeveloped regions as push factor in the migration process. So it is basically an economic activity. And apart from that, caste factors, gender factors, which is because I have been interacting with migrant workers, I have seen that these, at least this building construction, his wife is equally participating in the construction activity. She is called a coolie.
yeah.
So
But if I can, Jyotika ji, if I can ask here, because gradually the government has been loosening the control, and particularly in the 4th phase, a lot of relaxations have been done. Even in the 3rd phase, UP government allowed the construction activities to happen. Now in the green zone areas, the manufacturing has also started with certain riders and all, even in the other zones. Now the manufacturing is coming to start, that the shops are again going to be closed in Delhi, like with the odd EV number. All this is happening, and at the same time the migrants are going back to their native places. If this actually happens, this continues, and migrants reach their native places, who all will work in the manufacturing units, who all will work in the construction industry. So this is really a paradox. How this is, I mean, according to you, this kind of problem can be tackled?
I let me add here, like the third level of lockdown started from 3rd of May. 1st of May, the announcements were made by the central government and it was to be effective from 3rd of May. In that lockdown also, almost practically everything was cleared as compared to this fourth lockdown, except markets and the public transport. The addition in the fourth lockdown majorly is public transport and markets. So first lockdown had also opened the in situ construction, that is the construction within the premises, and most of the building construction is in situ, means the workers stay back in the buildings itself. It has also opened the factories, and again it was not green zone, but these activities are open in red zone also. Red zone is a big thing. Earlier, up till this fourth, the center was deciding what is red zone. It was a district. So red zone in itself was not a conclusive thing, a conclusive aspect. So activities were started even in red zone. The only thing which was left behind, which is being left behind even in this fourth lockdown, is containment zone. So as far as the activities were concerned, in the third phase, even in the third phase, most of the activities had already started. And the workmen, and as the Karnataka government had requested not to go back, Punjab government had requested, Rajasthan chief minister had requested, the governments had been requesting to the migrant workers, and even if I'm correct, Karnataka government had even offered rupees 5,000 to the construction workers, that if you, I'm not construction, migrant workers, if you will stay back, we'll pay you that much amount. So you are, that paradox is certain. But you know, with opening of, people were here up till this third lockdown stage, up till the second lockdown ended at on 3rd of May. People were not moving in that large number. It is only with the third lockdown, and the accident also happened during that state, during that time. Now with this time, people had come to know that we can move. I mean, if I am clear, that confidence developed in that I can move now. So let me go back. So now that financial aspect, that the factories were open, owners were saying, you please do not go. The construction activity had opened. The construction contractor were requesting them, you don't go, because the activities were allowed, legally allowed. So, but there was a, like, as I said, they were all in touch with their families, with their villages, and those who had started on foot and had reached month back, 2 months back. So they had all developed the confidence, and with trains also started, they started trying on the booking, getting booking on Shramik Seva. They started private vehicles. I mean, they started walking down. So
Yeah.
depending
So,
upon their resources, availability of resources, I mean, because it become easier for them and practically viable for them to move, so that, you know,
so
then no,
Jyotika ji,
neither the money, yeah, let me
if
complete.
I can
Neither
ask
the
here,
money, neither the money nor the safety, nothing could stop them. And because I can go now, and there is every reason, there is a possibility of my reaching home is very high now. So they moved in bulks and big
yeah.
numbers after the second lockdown was over.
Gee,
Yes.
so Jyotika ji, I want to ask you here that you said that the governments gave a lot of incentives to the migrant workers for not going. The factory workers and all, they also they asked the workers not to go. And despite all this happening, what went wrong? Why the migrant workers did not listen to anybody and they kept on moving to their native
I
places?
I think maybe it is not appropriate, but there is a word called monkey phenomena.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, when one is doing that thing, if a person got up, his hat was taken by a monkey. So he just threw it. So the monkey also threw that hat.
Yeah.
So it is monkey phenomena. Like, people start following what the majority or the major cult is doing. They keep doing. They just start doing it. I mean, then the rationale was not working, because now They knew that my employer wants me to stay back. The workplace requires me. But by the time he said, now this is, I can move, because he had been willing to move for the last 2 months. From the day of lockdown, 24th March onwards or 22nd March in Delhi onward, they were not willing to stay back. They wanted to go home, maybe health reasons, maybe to be with the family, maybe fear, and all those things. And maybe that
Yeah.
work has come to a halt. So they're mentally, I mean, gradually they were building that concept only, or that idea, or that thought only, that we have to go. So
Yeah.
they were only waiting for an opportunity. So it weighed, and they all, when they have gone, they said yes. When the situation will be back, let us go back, meet our parents, and then we'll come back. And I think they will come back also. The reverse
Yeah.
migration will start.
So do you feel that, I mean, if this continues the way this migration, I mean, these migrant workers are going back to home, if this continues in May and June, and then how this reversal of this thing will happen, do you feel the government will face a tough challenge again to bring back these migrant workers to their workplaces, to the manufacturing units and all, so that everything comes back to normal? How this is going to happen, and what kind of role the government has to play to see to this that the workers come back to their workplaces?
Amrish ji, I may say that this is nothing to do with the government, because this phenomena in pandemic shows that it is not the government which is, जो जो ये देश है वो सरकार नहीं चलाती है, देश जनता के नागरिक चलाते हैं. जब बात आई कि मजदूरों को तनख्वाह देनी है या जो एम्प्लॉइज को पैसा देना है, तो सभी ने ये कहा कि हम अपने सीएसआर से तनख्वाह नहीं दे सकते, हम लोन लेके तनख्वाह नहीं दे सकते. हम तनख्वाह तभी दे सकते हैं जब हमारा माल बाजार में बिकता है, जब हम प्रोड्यूस करते हैं, एंड वी गेट द रेवेन्यू फ्रॉम द पीपल. व्हेन पीपल आर देयर, व्हेन देयर इज अ डिमांड एंड दे परचेज इट, so only in that situation I'll be able to pay salaries and wages to my employees. So it is not, it's a cycle, you know, that there is a production, there is a demand, and that demand revenue is generated and being paid to the people. So the economy is, the turbo of the economy is the people. As the prime minister had also said, demand, the turbo of the economy is demand. So government, as I said, the chief minister had made personal requests, had even offered the money, but that didn't work. So it is the
Jyotika ji,
entrepreneur only. Yeah.
ji,
Yes, please
Jyotika
tell.
ji, if you informed our listeners, our participants about different laws, etc., which have been made for the migrant laborers. But I want to ask you here, if there are some special provisions and laws besides whatever the laws which are to be implemented in normal circumstances, but whether there are certain laws which have been made to deal with the problem or with the issues of the migrant laborers in in exceptional circumstances, in extraordinary circumstances. And if I can refer to the Pandemic Act, which was passed by the British before independence, now that act
1897, yeah.
has come, yeah, has been implemented. But whether there is something mentioned in that act with regard to dealing with the issues of the migrant laborers?
That act referred to migrant laborers, because at that time also it was the point that with migration the epidemic will spread. The Epidemic Act was enacted in 1897, keeping in mind that migration would increase it, or the spread would be more because of the migration. So all these quarantine and everything, always that act is only of 4 sections. But this situation, you know, it was in 1897, and the next act, that is Public Health Bill, which is already ready, almost ready, and that supersedes this Epidemic Act. That is also in place. But as far as migration is concerned, as I said, even the acts which are presently in force, Interstate Migration Labor Act, even that 29th March order of the Home Ministry, the guidelines of the Home Ministry, which had come in the first lockdown itself, that considering the migration, that all the employers shall pay wages, salaries to all their employees. It was not only with regard to the migrant workers only, but all employers were required, have been required to pay the salary up till the during the period of the lockdown. And in this fourth lockdown, when the guidelines have come, that had said that up till 18th of May, the early, after 18th of May, the earlier order will stand abated. So as your question I'm answering, even present government, present Ministry of Home Affairs had passed those notifications on 29th of March 2020 that every employer will pay salaries and wages to their employees. So as far as law is concerned, that is there. That is there. Although that has been
Yeah.
challenged before the Supreme Court, and how will it work?
So,
That's a different thing.
yeah. Yeah, if I can ask you here, if we talk about the human rights exactly, so what are the human rights of the migrant laborers? Whether some special, I mean, these human rights, because we talk about the in the country also human rights. I mean, there's a different level of organization. The national level organization is National Human Rights Commission is there, to which you belong, and then in the international level also there is UN, this Human Rights Commission and all. So the human rights have been spelled out properly internationally, nationally. So can you tell us what are the human rights which are precisely prescribed for the migrant workers?
No, I was when I begin with the migration, that it is an economic phenomena. So international labor standards on the migrant workers is also there, which has been settled by the ILO, and even as per the ILO, that the 3.3% of the global population is migrant. 3.3% of the global population. So ILO has also set up international standard, labor standard for the migrants. And as far as human rights of the migrants is concerned, as I said in the beginning, the statutory protections which are there to the migrant laborers, which have been settled by the parliament and which are there. So they are much more than human rights. You know, human right is right to life, dignity, freedom, and equality, which is almost the fundamental rights, but the statutory protections which they have got. So above human rights are the fundamental, I mean, because I said life, dignity, equality, and liberty. That's at plus the statutory protection which the people have. So they have human rights, as everybody has a human right, and as everybody has a fundamental right and protection because of the legislature. So many legislatures, as you have must have seen, the UP government with this ordinance which has brought has set aside it, that ordinance, 38 labor laws. So it is not one, two, or three. Every state, and this law, labor law, is in the third list. It's a seventh schedule concurrent list. Item number 22 is labor unions, industrial, and labor disputes. That is in the concurrent list. All the legislatures which have been made by the center. State cannot have any legislature which is contradictory to this national legislature. That's the reason, as per section 2, article 254 of the Constitution of India, UP has sent it to the president for its confirmation because they are in contravention, repugnant to the central legislature. So until the governor permits, state cannot have any legislature which is repugnant to the central legislature. So human rights, yes. In addition to human rights, they have statutory protections, and those statutory protections, in most of the statutory protection, there are penal consequences. Minimum wages, like Supreme Court has said that it is if a person is not being paid is not being paid minimum wages, he'll be treated as a bonded labor. To that extent. So and then everything has a penal consequences. And there are different judgments of the Supreme Court at different point of time where the Supreme Court has dealt with these issues. But again, as I said in the beginning, even if the Ministry of Home Affairs has ordered that every employer will pay wages, for if getting them affected, you need a mechanism. That right has been
Yeah,
created, but for remedy,
yeah,
yeah.
Jyotikari, if I can raise certain such incidents which I believe everybody would have read or would have seen, wherein there have been incidents of the manhandling of these migrant laborers while they were moving on the roads, they were beaten by the police, such incidents happened. Their maltreatment happened. And if I can refer to a very recent incident some 3-4 days ago, where in some accident, some 20, 23 or 24 migrant laborers died, and they belong to Jharkhand. Some of them belong to Jharkhand, some to Odisha, and some to Bengal. So what you people is did that they sent them in trucks, and both the bodies of the dead
And the
deceased
migrants,
people and the alive people. So don't you feel this is a serious human right violation of the migrant laborers? And what should be done in such kind of incidents by the government or by the Human Rights Commission?
Amrishji, it is, as I said, why should it be, whenever there is a death, there had to be a protocol by the medical fraternity also. How to treat a dead body, there must have been a protocol. So I can't say with surety, but that protocol must have been taken into consideration. The dead body should never be kept along with the live people or something like that. So it is, again, I said, it is in any which case a violation of the medical protocols or the medical regulations which are there to deal with a dead body. And Human Rights Commission, the powers of the Human Rights Commission, the functions of the Human Rights Commission are the one which they get from the Protection of Human Rights Act. And Protection of Human Rights Act doesn't give much of the powers. It is only directory. The commission can only direct, and commission only inquires into violation of human rights, and after the inquiry it directs that if there is a violation. So it takes time. It is basically the executive act, the most effective remedy for it is a violation, apparent violation. If it is correct, the report is correct, it is a negligence on part of the executive dealing with the dead bodies. So the review of the executive is the courts open is to the courts. Judicial system is there in place to check the functions of the executive or to review the functions of the executive. And they also have the powers to impose punishment, to impose direction for taking penal actions, for disciplinary actions against the culprits, against the persons. And I am not aware of it, but to my best of understanding, the UP government must have initiated an inquiry against the officials who committed that kind of an act. And they and then damages, like, it will come to Human Rights Commission, the notices will be issued, and commission can direct for the disciplinary action or the criminal action or compensation for the damages which a person has suffered because of violation of his human rights.
Jyotikali, here I would like to ask you, whether the Human Rights Commission has taken cognizance of such kind of incidents which happened during this pandemic.
Commission has taken many cognizances. To begin with, the commission had taken a cognizance about the police atrocity. As I said, the commission had sent notices to all the chief secretaries that when you ensure that while the police is taking actions, they must protect or respect the human rights of the people, and you prepare a protocol that in the police action the human rights are not violated. And apart from that, commission has taken various cases. The cognizance commission has taken the cognizance of the Maharashtra, Aurangabad, the workmen dying on the railway track. So in other cases also, the migrant workers walking on the roads, different cognizances have been taken. And and the complaints which the commission has received during this period, the commission has issued notices to the concerned departments, because the commission is required to inquire into every complaint. The commission has issued, since 20th of April, the commission is officially working. The offices are open. So the commission has asked for the report from the concerned departments against whom the complaints have come. So many cases of that nature, cognizance has already been taken, and the concerned of governments have been asked to file their reports.
Yeah, if we look into the working of the National Human Rights Commission, in any such incident, not only the notices are issued and all, but some inquiries also conducted by the Human Rights Commission, and the teams are dispatched to the concerned locations to have an on-the-spot inquiry and conducting and then having their own investigation. Where any such inquiry or investigation has been
Hey,
conducted by the National Human Rights
yeah,
Commission.
that's true that commission has the power to send its investigation division teams to conduct the inquiries. But as the government of India's notification only below the joint secretary level, one third, it's only by the last order of yesterday's order, the attendance has been made to 50%. Earlier, it was only one third of the things. And the officers do not have the, like, there is no permission to cross Noida border. There is no permission to cross Haryana border. So, and how will they go? The permission is to be required. So, maybe it is not, the commission has not, I mean, it is not up to the mark that by not sending the investigation division teams to investigate the spot inquiries, to conduct the spot inquiries. But the other reason is also there, and to my understanding, it is a genuine and a valid reason that railways are not there, the flights are not being taken place, and this is the government officials, those who have to go there and conduct the inquiry. So for those reasons, maybe, but it could have certainly been better if such serious incidents, investigation division team would have gone and investigated and submitted its report, which otherwise the commission does in other cases.
Yeah, Jyotika ji, I also want to know that, I mean, you told about so many laws and the statutory status of the migrant laborers and all, but can I ask you precisely, when it comes to migrant workers, who exactly is primarily responsible, anything related to them, the central government or the concerned state government?
As I said, it is in the concurrent list. The legislature are by the center, but the state is under obligation to abide by it. All those, as I said, like for this interstate migrant workers, there is a requirement for registration that would be done at the state level, and to ensure that this is being followed, the officers have to be appointed by the state. Even for the building construction workers, the boards where the money gets deposited is under the control of the states. The states only register it. So state legislature is there, but ultimately the execution of all those protective or social legislature lies with the states, and the states are under obligation to implement them.
Yeah, and coming back to the whole issue of migrant laborers during this whole COVID-19 pandemic, and as we all know that almost the entire world has been into the grip of this pandemic, and there has been lockdown in every country. But the kind of problem that we faced in India as far as the migrant laborers is concerned, it was not seen, it was not heard in any other country of the world. So can you tell us what is so peculiar about India that this whole problem reached at such an alarming proportion?
It's population is so peculiar. It's not a rocket science. So peculiar is 130 crore population, and out of which maybe 10 crore, 12 crore have migrated, and out of some they have started getting back to their homes. But such a big population and lockdown. So the reason is very apparent. Lockdown, total lockdown, no commutation, because earlier also the migrants were there. They were also moving every day. When you will need to register a train, you would find that a ticket is not available for a month. It is all because of these people who migrate. Most of them, you'll say that trains available when there is a Diwali, or when there is the other festival, when there is around, these tickets are not available because migrants travel. So it is their quite nature, in natural, or that is part of their life that they travel. Even for wedding, they'll go and attend and they'll come back to work. But because of a lockdown and because of non-availability of things, it created a scare. As I said, one gets, it's very, when this fear is, the unification in the name of fear is it happens very naturally. It comes
Yeah.
very naturally and very easily. So
Uh,
fear of so many things. Yeah.
yeah, Jyotika ji, can you suggest certain measures which you believe should be taken for the betterment of the migrant workers? I mean, not only in the pandemic, but otherwise also in normal
Yes, yes, yes,
circumstances, and particularly. So, if you can tell us, if you can suggest certain
yes,
measures which need to be taken by the
yes, yes.
government for an improvement.
Yes, I'm prepared for that answer because I had thought over it. Because recently our finance minister had said that the government has provided food to those persons who did not have the PDS cards. All social welfare schemes in India, which includes the right to food, is also a fundamental right, and there is not fundamental right, is statutory right. The Right to Food Act protects the right of people to get the food from the government, and that is being distributed through PDS system. So the Honorable Finance Minister, in one of the when I heard, she said that around 8 crore people were not having that PDS, that ration card or whatever word you may call it. So they were not availing the facility. They were not in a position to avail facility of the public distribution system. And the government has guaranteed food to those people also who are not having that ration cards. And she said this number is 8 crore. So, as the government had worked on the Aadhaar, because almost entire population is Aadhaar. I mean, majority of the population has subscribed to Aadhaar. So, as far as registration under PDS schemes is concerned, as per the Honorable Finance Minister, it is 8 crore. So, it in any which case will be more than that. So, the government must, on a very, big level, should ensure that all of them get registered at least for the PDS, the 8,000 crore with the government is distributing the food. So in a way, give them a parchi and note down their name and hand him over a PDS card without asking for anything. So at least that 8 crore will come within that social circle that they'll be entitled to get it as a matter of right. And as I mentioned about the construction and building workers board, in which the minister has again said that those 3.5 crore are registered, those who are not registered, please register them and transfer them the money which is lying idle. So at that level also there should be an exercise. When I said 8 crore, so I meant it that honorable minister should ensure, the concerned minister of the PDS system, I think uh, from Bihar, he's the minister for that PDS system. He must ensure that there is an additional distribution of PDS card, 8 crore distribution of PDS card. Am I clear? So the target should
Yeah.
be a plus 8 crore distribution of new PDS cards. And for building construction workers also, target should be registration of 1 crore or 2 crore, because 3.5 is already. So registration of additional 1 crore or 2 crore workers in the building construction board. And time limit should be fixed, maybe 2 months, 3 months, so that registration should be at a war foot level. And I think that itself, because with registration the entitlement comes, and with that a person dignifiedly can ask for, this is my right. It is not any upkar or any charity being done upon you. So
Yeah.
I think that is the thing which the governments must ensure, and in a time bound time. And now when the government is aware of as to this much is the number which is out of that PDS system, so that should be done at the earliest possible
Yeah.
time.
So now very vital information has been provided to us all by Jyotika ji, and now we are moving towards the conclusion. But before that, though many questions had already on the screen, and I put up those questions to Jyotika ji. But still, if there is some one or two important questions, any listener or any participant want to ask, so you are welcome. If anybody wants to raise any question. Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, anybody wants to ask any question? Any of the participants who are there in the session? I believe that most of them were writing something or the other, and all those things
Yeah,
have
there were many,
already.
46, I think, chats.
Yeah,
There are,
and you answered most of them either on your own or
yeah, 46 because
Hello.
almost 40% had asked, has expressed their views. Yeah.
yeah,
Very good
yeah, yeah.
morning.
Who is there?
Hello, ma'am. I'm Hardik.
जी
Very,
जी
very good,
हार्दिक,
very good
गुड
afternoon, ma'am.
आफ्टरनून, गुड आफ्टरनून.
तो मेरा क्वेश्चन है कि अगर वर्कर्स के लिए 3 इयर्स के लिए सेक्रीफाइस कर रहे हैं, विच इज लेबर एजम्पशन लॉस,
हाँ,
तो हम प्राइवेट कंपनीज के लिए क्यों नहीं कर सकते? क्योंकि ट्रस्ट को बोर्ड ऑफ ट्रस्टीज को रिप्लेस कर दे बोर्ड ऑफ डायरेक्टर से।
ये क्या सवाल हुआ भाई? ये मुझे समझ नहीं आ रहा तुम्हारा सवाल, क्या सवाल पूछना चाहते हो?
अब अगर हम कहते हैं इंडस्ट्रीज अगर 3 इयर्स प्रॉफिट के लिए बोर्ड ऑफ ट्रस्टीज रिप्लेस कर दे बोर्ड ऑफ डायरेक्टर से,
ये
जो
ये
मैनेजिंग है,
सवाल
तो अपना
मतलब
प्रॉफिट वो भी
बोर्ड ऑफ
ट्रस्ट।
ट्रस्टीज का क्या प्रोविजन है और बोर्ड ऑफ डायरेक्टर्स, मतलब कोई लिंक भी तो बैठना चाहिए ना। कौन से लॉज में बोर्ड ऑफ ट्रस्टीज अपॉइंट होते हैं, कौन सा लॉ है जिसको रिप्लेसमेंट का पावर देता है विद बोर्ड ऑफ दिस थिंग।
आई एम कंपेयरिंग द लेबर विद इंडस्ट्रियलिस्ट कि वो कोई
इंडस्ट्रियलिस्ट
इंडस्ट्रियलिस्ट
में
को।
मैं कह रही हूँ ना, द कंपनीज एक्ट deals with the shareholder directors, so that is the law which deals with it, and the
So,
directors are appointed, board of director is there, that will act work only in accordance with the companies act if
yeah.
anything has to be changed on that
So,
account. It
so,
cannot be a
so,
common sense question, or it cannot be opinion or suggestion. Change in
so,
the board can only be in accordance with the companies act.
yeah, so Jyotika ji, we are moving towards the conclusion, and it was really a very fruitful session because when we decided to hold the webinar and we requested Jyotika ji, the whole idea was to look into all such areas which normally are not talked about. Even media does not cover that all to such an extent wherein it's understandable to everybody as to what are the laws which are applicable, and what are the laws where the laborers or the workers can get the relief, what all can be done or is being done or has been done during this pandemic by the government, and all such issues we discuss in detail. And in the end, Jyotika ji also gave some very vital measures, some suggestions which if implemented by the government, then obviously tomorrow the scenario will be better, and we will not have a repeat of the kind of scenes which we witnessed this time as far as the working conditions and the life of the migrant laborers is concerned. We hope that the things will improve. We will come out from this pandemic. The condition of the migrant laborers will also improve. And with all this good note, happy note, we end up this program. Thank you, Jyotika ji.
I want to say a last word for the listeners.
Yeah.
And Amrish ji, thank you so much for inviting me for this webinar. And thank you for choosing this topic. And I said in the beginning, you are the journalism, yours is a journalism school. So all those budding journalists who are your students or are the students of DME, my word to them that don't wait for you to join any news portal or something like that. You yourself is a news agency. Take that courage, report, record, and publish it. Be a little bit hardworking and fearless, and your efforts will be an instrument in bringing change to this scenario.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
you deserve compliments for taking up this serious issue.
Thank you, Jyotika ji. And you reminded this because many of our participants are now more or less the regular participants, because we have been organizing webinars since last month. We means the Delhi Metropolitan Education and the school, the media school that we have in DME. We have been into this whole exercise because we thought that we have to deliberate on contemporary issues. And in this period of pandemic, we thought that let us use of this technology and let us be tied together. And if I can further tell you to Jyotika ji and to other participants, incidentally, the participants have been from all across the country. They are the media educators, researchers, PhD scholars, and media students which are from different states of the country. If we can develop this forum as an forum of interaction wherein all this knowledge sharing is possible, nothing like that. So thank you, Jyotika ji. Thank you, all the participants. We will be meeting soon with a new topic, with a new webinar. Thank you all. Thank you.